Great to see everybody today. So I'm Aaron Vega, the Director of the Office of Planning and Economic Development, OPED, we affectionately call it. We're doing these industrial roundtables quarterly now. So as many of you have known, some of you for a long time have been involved with these when they were MIDAC, the Mayor's Industrial Advisory Group, our committee. And then when I came in about 3 years ago, John Dijak and I tried to bring this back. We were doing almost bi-monthly roundtables. Marie Brazo was helping us as our development specialist. And then obviously your schedules are busy, our schedules are busy. And it really, I think these are good conversations to have, but it just makes more sense to do these quarterly. And so we'll be meeting quarterly this year and going forward. So hopefully this will be of value. And we will, again, have topics and themes as we go forward with the other ones. And we will probably change up some of the locations too. Part of this is also to bring some of you to these great locations in the city of Holyoke. So for those of you that have never been here, welcome to Holyoke Media. Scott and his team, Johan, are here from Holyoke Media. So this space is amazing. We've had some of our meetings here. There's obviously a lot of social events that happen here, open mics, all kinds of great stuff. So please check them out. They've got a great schedule going on throughout the year. And when we go upstairs for lunch, yes, we're providing you lunch, you'll see all the different spaces for podcasts and video making and stuff like that. So again, it's free to become a member, and you have access to all this great equipment. And perhaps some of that might be what you want to do to bring to bear to some of the programs. Maybe it's about job hunting, maybe it's about promoting your business. So again, please talk to Scott and his team about how we can utilize this space to promote all the good things going on in Holyoke around manufacturing and industry. So we're going to just take we've got a little bit of an agenda, like I said. We'll probably be here about a half hour. Then we'll go upstairs. We can all socialize and have some food. So I want to thank first, obviously, Marie Brazo and Kim, our wonderful staff who put this together. So Marie Brazo and Kim, thank you. And I'm going to add a couple things to the agenda, but I also know that Representative Duffy does need to go to another event. I remember that life. So trying to be at two places at one time. So I'm going to just change up the order a little bit with all due respect to Mayor Garcia. And ask Pat Duffy if she can come up. Again, hopefully all of you know Pat Duffy, our state representative, but just sort of talk about what's going on at the state level. Today's theme was state level, so I should back up on that. Today was state level initiatives, programs. So we have people from Western Mass EDC, MOBD, Mass Development, and of course some of our local delegation and chamber as well. So just kind of having that conversation about what's happening at the state level when it comes to the state budget, initiatives around manufacturing, industry, and all good things. And of course, also Wanda Anderson Burgos, our Ward 6 City Councilor, who's also Representative Duffy's legislative aide. So he wears multiple hats. So again, their door, I'll say this, their door is always open. I know they would say that as well. But again, thank you, Rep, for being here.
Hey, thanks everybody, and I'm sorry that I have to run off. I'm so excited that these have started up again, and I plan to be an active member coming quarterly. One of our other large employers in another regional important sector, healthcare sector, is having a legislative luncheon right now, and it is the CEO's last luncheon, so I do need to run off to that. And so I'm sending greetings from Senator Vilas and myself. You all are so key to this city. I'm really happy to see everybody in the same room. I feel like the administration, the legislature, in a rare moment, we all are pulling in the same direction for both workforce development initiatives and also creating more affordable housing. I know when you're looking for employees that that's one of the things you need to sell, that we are going to move forward and have a wider range of all kinds of housing. And I'm really optimistic that we're all pulling in the same direction. We're going to move those initiatives forward. The other thing I'd like to say, Juan and I were actually just talking about, we've done a couple of business tours. You know, I got started during the pandemic, so we're like back and rolling again, and I'd really like to make that a regular feature. So perhaps this May and June, get a couple started, and definitely in the fall too. I would love to come visit every single one of you. And what else do I want to say? It's budget season, so yay! So we're gonna take on the budget We're going to take on the governor's housing bonding bill, which I'm really optimistic about, and working closely with our administration about what Holyoke needs in terms of improving our housing stock. And then there's a big economic development bill, too. The governor has talked a lot about the life sciences, which I think is a place that we can really grow. You all are so key to that and have actually brought some of the new companies here, whether you're directly involved in a like climate tech or life sciences arena, or your specialty manufacturing is helping out, helping those industries grow, or attracting them here to the Pioneer Valley, here to Holyoke. You're huge in that. So I'm really excited to hear everything that comes out of this. Juan will be staying here. I meet with Aaron and the mayor all the time. And so tell us about what policies we're putting forward that work, which are not so great. What do you need? What are the gaps? Looking forward to continuing the conversation. So thanks a lot.
And our theme in the fall will be workforce development, so we'll definitely touch upon that some more. And also just want to let you know, just again, as I change things up a little bit, we will do a quick round robin of people before we go upstairs, so when we're breaking bread, we can socialize a little bit more, so we'll get of who everybody is in the room. Also, as we mentioned, Juan will be staying here, so if there's other questions, we're happy to sort of field those. And on those business tours, we'd love to sort of help organize those, so again, if you want to run through my office or through Juan, we're happy to kind of coordinate. We brought the mayor to a lot of businesses, so it's always great to actually see what's going on in the city. We've been at Meridian, we've been at US Sabaki, we've been at a lot of the industrial buildings here and see what's going on. It's really important. One of the things that's been happening as late, and I think when we think about our office, our main mission is, of course, to support the existing businesses and the infrastructure here currently, right? But of course, we're also trying to bring in new businesses. And one of the things that a lot of us talk about when we talk to these new businesses, either John Dijak or myself, is that world of manufacturing, the institutional knowledge that all of you have, that are long-standing businesses, and so the collaborations that can happen when you're in a place like Holyoke. And two companies that have come up recently, hopefully you guys have been hearing about, of course, is Clean Crop Technologies and Sublime Systems. Two focused, Clean Crop is focused on agriculture, an ag tech business, and then Sublime is an eco-friendly cement making company. They have a new system of how to make cement, and I didn't know until just a year ago how detrimental, how much carbon is released by the process of making the cement. Not the pouring of the cement, but the process of breaking down that limestone and the heat needed to do that. So again, these decarbonization companies are things that we're really looking at as we look towards a green future here in Holyoke. Great to have those businesses here in Holyoke. Great for us to do the press releases and work with the state. And I know Governor Healy even mentioned some of them in some of her speeches. But what was really great is to see Time Magazine list both of them on their 200 green businesses to watch in the next year. So two businesses in Holyoke that are getting Time Magazine recognition is definitely a good thing. So when I get to write that press release and get John to help me write that press release and send it to the mayor's office, obviously he loves sending that one out. So obviously Mayor Garcia, our mayor here, leading the charge. So thank you, Mayor, for being here.
Thanks so much, everybody. Welcome, everybody, here to Holyoke Media and to the city of Holyoke. Since we assumed office and Aaron helped kick off the Roundtables event, a lot of you that have been attending those meetings regularly remember the lens that I'm trying to bring to the table. A lot of the quality of life issues that we see, whether we're talking about public safety, education, economic development, infrastructure development, those issues are usually a symptom of a bigger problem. And you've heard a lot about it in the campaign trail, and finally when I got in, I got to hit the ground running. The key focus has been doing what we can to strengthen internal controls, get our house in order so that we can better leverage the resources, the process internally so that we can support those departments that are actually doing the important quality of life work. And so I think within those 2 years, we've done a lot of that. And I know we did because I like to keep my finger on the pulse. And there's a lot of good feedback from folks and how easier things are and how different things feel out there in the community. One of the things that that I beat into the department's heads constantly is this phrase, you get what you plan for. And the last 2 years, although it feels different, I think in a few more short years, you'll get to start seeing the things that we've been planning. The Economic Development Office has been doing an incredible job in really trying to leverage our assets and put out there to the universe what Holyoke has to offer here in the greater region. And obviously, being the first planned industrial city, you have those earlier industrialists who took advantage of the river and the building of the canals, offering one of the cheapest, I think probably if not the cheapest energy rates in the region that attract those earlier industrialists. And now there's kind of this new energy attracting new industrialists around clean tech. And so we're continuing to work around that and do what we can. And while the OPED office does that, I'm doing whatever I can to do the city management component, making sure that when we're talking about, whether if it's downtown infrastructure or keeping downtown safe and clean, there's a lot of initiatives going on that I'm sure you already heard of right about now that will be coming into fruition so that, you'll have a different look and feel in our downtown when folks come to work or visit your businesses or whatever your business is in the city of Holyoke, whether if you live downtown, work downtown, are investing downtown, that you're having a good quality of life experience. So lots of exciting stuff on that front. The state has been an incredible partner, I have to say, with the city of Holyoke. My conversations with our friends at the Commonwealth, the city of Holyoke has always been a strong partner with the state 40 plus years. When other communities, especially so-called progressive communities, say we don't want that in our backyard, we're a compassionate city and we do what we can to take care of our vulnerable populations, and we'll continue to do that. But that work, does come with quality of life challenges, and we've been strengthening our operations internally where we can lead with compassion, but it has to go hand in hand with enforcement and continuing to try to cultivate that model so that we can be a partner with the Commonwealth, but knowing that, letting the administration know, hey, we're going to need some help. We've been partnering with you all these years. We need some other support, whether if it's rapid housing construction or support for new business development, or maybe even getting some of our projects that are on the list for infrastructure development expedited. We need some help and support here, and certainly has been incredible in helping us navigate that and leveraging those opportunities so that we can continue to grow and build the city. So I feel good where we are. Aaron and his team do an incredible job. The friends at the Chamber of Commerce also, we have a ecosystem of asset and network in our downtown and actually within the whole city of Holyoke, and it's just about leveraging, cultivating those partnerships, taking advantages of those opportunities when they appear. And while all that is happening, making sure that I'm doing what I can internally to keep up with this demand, with this need, so that, we're growing the city of Holyoke. So very interesting time in our city's history. I can't do it without the help and support of the incredible staff that are there and the investors that continue to believe and invest in the city of Holyoke. So thank you all, and I'll give it back to Aaron.
The mayor's going to stick around, so again, we'll leave a little time for questions. But again, I think the best part is the socializing during lunch. I think sometimes when we talk to industry, they're sort of like, well, sometimes there can be this attitude like, well, what does it matter what you guys are doing around tourism? What does it matter that you guys are doing around small restaurants? What does it matter that you guys are doing around fixing Main Street or High Street? But I think that all of you in the room actually know the connection to that, right? I mean, it's supporting that kind of quality of life, if you will, but also for your employees, right? For after work if they want to go out, or before work, or supporting that local economy, going to the local restaurants, hiring local, getting that whole synergy going. And I think that's really what we've been trying to look at when we look at initiatives around marketing and tourism and bringing people into the city. Those things are all related. And a lot of times, for a long time, there was this division within my office previously and other offices like where economic development wasn't going to talk about housing. We weren't going to talk about housing. But the reality is that of late, in the last 3 to 5 years, most of the big projects that have come to us involve housing. Usually mixed use, some kind of retail or reuses of old mill buildings, right? Again, going to that housing. And what was really interesting, when we had our first meeting with Clean Crop, we went down there and met with them, and unfortunately I don't think they're here today, but they will be here next time. Their conversation with us was, what are you doing about housing? because we're going to be bringing in 70 employees over the next 4 years. What are you doing about quality of life? What are you going to do about for young people to do in the city? I was like, oh, we weren't expecting this conversation. We thought it was going to be about workforce or taxes, right? So again, you never know what conversation is going to come up. And so getting that input from you is key. And someone who's been getting that input from this business community in Holyoke for a long time and has been able to sort of take that input and sort of help guide me in this position. And sort of as we look at some of the offerings that we work on, especially around HEDIC, our Economic Development Industrial Corporation, is John Dijak. Probably no stranger to many of you in the room. So John's going to come up and talk a little bit about some of the new products that we're working on through the office, and hopefully be able to help not just you as your current businesses, especially if you look to expand, but also, of course, welcoming in those new businesses. So, John, come on up.
Thanks. Hi, everyone, and I know a lot of folks in the room, but if I don't and we haven't met, I look forward to meeting you upstairs. John Dijak, I worked with the city for quite a while and been through a lot of ups and downs, but always trying to keep things going in a positive direction. And I think the biggest thing we can do is be a resource for businesses. And there's quite a few people in the room here that are going to talk about a couple things that we are kind of the conduit to, where whether it's programs or one of the new things we have is through our industrial corporation called HEDIC, Holyoke Economic Development and Industrial Corporation, is a new financing program. Some of the companies in this room have access to that over the years, but now there's a direct loan component to it. So we're going to start rolling that out. You see some press releases. We'll do some emails to the group just saying that program's available. So it's a really good opportunity. And and I think one of the things is Aaron and I talk about. Sometimes we don't call on the companies and we just think, oh, they're doing good, they're not calling us, but we're gonna reach out, just like Rep. Duffy had said earlier. We're gonna reach out to you, see how you're doing, at least make that phone call, hopefully make a visit with the mayor, but if you guys are too busy, we'll get you the next time. So we want to be a resource for businesses, and working with our great resources like the Chamber and Holyoke Gas and Electric we have a great team. So lots of stuff to talk about. I'm sure some of our other folks will add to that, but good seeing everybody. Thank you.
And we were really, some of you may remember that as a gap financing loan. So we're going to be restructuring as a direct equipment loan, expansion loan, all those kind of great things. And I think one of the new products that we did put out recently was the maker's loan. And that was kind of a very niche kind of thing where you had to make something that went to market. It was a $25,000 really for startups. And we've given out one loan so far. Very happy about that. Raw Beauty, locally owned beauty products, naturally made, all that kind of good stuff. But those also kind of small businesses that are occupying some of our mill buildings, right? So if we're not taking over a whole mill building for one development, it's how do you get these small businesses into there? And obviously we've also seen that with the emerging and sort of leveling out cannabis industry here, right? How they've sort of taken over some bigger buildings, but then we have places like One Cabot that houses many companies in one space. And I think that's a really great model. So again, utilize John as a resource as we go forward. We want to kind of elevate this to some of the state programs that are out there, making sure people are aware. Maybe you're not going to get every single program here today, but to start to put a face to some people that are new here in this area. And so again, we can be a conduit for those contacts as your business looks to expand or equipment upgrades or whatever it might be. And so first off, I'm going to ask our representative from Mass Development to come up. Mass Development has been a great partner in the city of Holyoke, a number of different programs and loans. Mass Development also has a TDI fellow program that has been working on High Street, drawing in new businesses, small loans for facade improvements and incentives for businesses to come. But Mass Development runs a number of programs. They have a great staff. Some of them you may recognize who actually used to work in this office, but that's another story for another day. We have a great partnership with Mass Development, so come on up. All right. Use space. All right. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Aaron, and good afternoon. Frank Canning from Mass Development. Really happy to be here. Mass Development, just for those of you that don't know us, we're headquartered in Boston, but we have regional offices across the state. In Western Mass, our office is in Springfield. We serve the 4 counties that are out this way, so always available, and definitely call us. Our focus is on economic development, job creation. So we work a lot with companies. We recently did a financing in Holyoke for Valley Malt, a company that processes malt that's used in distilling and brewing. So really nice deal, and those are the kind of companies we want to help. We do affordable housing. Recently closed a bond for Vocis de Esperanza, which is a entity that was Valley Opportunity Council was the sponsor of that project, but a really nice affordable housing project that's important, as Aaron mentioned. And then we do a lot of real estate development, really focused on hard to develop properties, underutilized properties, and as Aaron mentioned, in a gateway city like Holyoke, we've made a commitment with the TDI program with Kevin Mulfort. He's not here, but really on the ground, boots on the ground, trying to figure out ways to really define an area within these cities and really try to get some development there. So, but for manufacturers, I just wanted to give you that background, but for manufacturers, we are not a bank, so we don't compete with your bank. But what we try to do is enhance what your bank can do for you. So for example, if you're buying equipment, if you export, we can give the bank a guarantee, which would allow you to finance up to 100% of the equipment. So you keep more of your working capital in the business as opposed to putting it into the equipment. We do industrial development bonds. We've worked in the past with companies in Holyoke to expand or finance larger projects. We have an emerging technology fund for companies that have a very highly technological product that they want to bring to the market. And we can get creative there where you're getting other venture capital and other funding sources where a bank may not be ready to come in yet. We can use our ETF fund to help in those cases. Holyoke has opted into our property assessed clean energy program. If you're an owner of a commercial building and you want to make energy efficient improvements, these can be done through a betterment assessment that works through with the city's tax department. We haven't done one yet in Holyoke, but those are great ways to finance a little bit unconventionally those kind of energy improvements. So I can go on about a lot of other things, but as John mentioned, we're a resource, so if you contact John, we're always available and would be happy to talk to anybody about everything that we do. Thank you.
They have a great team, and they're between Frank and Karen Coswell, who some of you know, Ben Murphy used to work in our office. When we call them and say Holyoke, they're right at the table. They want to know, they want to be involved, they want to see things happen. So Frank, thanks for stepping up and being here this morning. One of the things, again, that John oversees in our office is a lot of these tax increment financing plans and how it's one of our tools in addition to Holyoke Gas and Electric, which everybody knows. And Mike, thank you for being here, and the team over at HG&E. And a lot of us always tout how great HG&E is, right? Some of the lowest, not just the lowest energy rates, but some of the greenest energy. Obviously, one of the keys to bring in the cannabis industry here in the city of Holyoke. But we also have other assets like I've been learning that our capacity on our sewer and our water infrastructure, we're only using like 40% of our infrastructure, of our capacity there. So again, for a lot of companies, I'm learning that use a lot of water, Sunoco and other companies, that's another big expense. And so again, if we're able to bring that kind of support and that kind of incentive to businesses to come in, that can really kind of change the dynamic and change that financing. But when we're talking about TIFs and the local part of that and giving sort of a tax break to new businesses either that are expanding or coming to Holyoke, we really capitalize that at the state level. And so Mass Office of Business Development has been a partner, and if you haven't met our new rep from Mass Office of Business Development, he's here this morning, he's here this afternoon, and he's in Holyoke all the time. I told him he can have an office in my area anytime he wants, so come on up. So MOBD, they were instrumental in helping Valley Malt. They helped Clean Crop out. They're looking at a bunch of other projects here. So it's really great to have somebody in Western Mass who understands what's going on here and is really able to pick up the phone any day and come check out these development opportunities. So thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Hey, everybody. My name is Paul St. Pierre. Like Aaron mentioned, I'm from the Mass Office of Business Development. I'm not sure if I'm a very good public speaker, but we're going to find that out together. In a nutshell, so we're an executive branch organization, and our mission is essentially to help facilitate job creation across the Commonwealth. And there are 5 regional directors. We're bringing on a 6th, and I'm covering Western Mass, so the 4 counties. And we work with our partners in a lot of different ways, and with different businesses. We call ourselves Team Massachusetts, and we really mean that. We work very collaboratively, and as Aaron mentioned, one of the ways that we can work with the municipalities is to leverage community investments in manufacturing to bring state resources into play to make projects possible that would not otherwise be possible. Our core deliverable is a program. It's called the Economic Development Incentive Program, and it's an umbrella term. It encompasses a variety of tax incentives, including local property tax incentives that can be brought into a project when you're expanding a facility or you're renovating a facility that maybe isn't in the best shape, and you're going to see a change in that assessed value, and you're going to therefore have a change in your property taxes, and you can negotiate a reduction in that to help make your project possible. And then on the state side, we can bring in tax incentives in exchange for job creation, for full-time job creation. So you have a project, you're going to be investing in this facility, you're going to be creating this many jobs. We can work with Holyoke, not just on the property tax, but we can find other creative ways to incentivize a project. We had a project with Clean Crop where we were able to get a very valuable incentive for them in the form of a reduction to their energy costs. And we're able to use that to bring in state funds as the local contribution. In the last 6 months, the state of Massachusetts, through this EDIP program, has been able to leverage roughly $2 million in tax incentives between the local and the state tax incentives to unlock about $160 million in investment for Holyoke. That's going to be a minimum of 88 full-time jobs with benefits, and it's probably going to be a lot more than that. So we're working with these companies, like Aaron mentioned, Clean Crop and Sublime are two of them that were in this program, as was Valley Malt. So companies that do different things and that are very different sizes, but that are growing and that are investing here and creating good jobs, and that's what we want to see. Holyoke is like a lot of different communities in Western Mass. There's a great and vibrant industrial history, and then as different manufacturers left the area, for decades, there was just more and more deterioration, more and more kind of economic struggle. We saw our middle class shrink, and now we're turning it around. The state of Massachusetts is investing in Western Mass again. And our partners with Holyoke, they've been amazing to work with. I wish that we had an Aaron Vega in every city, but these are really good opportunities for Holyoke and for Western Mass to really turn the ship around and start, finding our economic footing again and creating jobs and growing that middle class. Now, apart from our core incentive program, the EDIP that we have, we also have other resources through the state that we can help connect you with. We have money for if you're purchasing machinery that's going to allow you to diversify your product lines. There's a grant program that's open right now. It's called the MMAP grant program. We have money for workforce training. We have money for workplace safety improvements. We can give you a free audit, essentially like an OSHA audit. Before OSHA comes in and knocks you for stuff, no cost to you, the state of Massachusetts will send somebody to do a full audit so these are the different things that you might get hit for and that you can improve and that are going to improve the quality of life for your employees and the safety for your employees. So there's a lot of different ways that we can help support you. We're very, very focused right now in Massachusetts on supporting manufacturers and bringing manufacturing back into Massachusetts. We've seen a lot of investment in Eastern Mass. It's been very successful over the last 10, 20 years, and now the Eye of Sauron has moved to Western Mass, and we're growing here again too. So if there's anything that I can do to help your businesses, to help this community, create these investments and create these jobs, I'm happy to be a partner with you, happy to work with all of our partner organizations like Mass Development, Western Mass EDC, who you'll hear from soon, and certainly with the Economic Development Office in the city of Holyoke and with Mayor Garcia. So very glad to be here. Happy to talk with any and all of you when we go up to lunch, and I think that's it for me. So.
Paul, you did great, and I think that's one of the things that I'm sort of known for, is putting people a little bit out of their comfort zone. I think that getting John up here to speak sometimes and getting Marie in front of the camera. I know Mayor and I have both done that to Marie a couple of times, and she's like, "What? I don't want to be in front of the camera." But it's great to have you as a partner. And we're working on this cloning company. So once they get that done, we can clone me and put me in a couple of the cities. That's fine. Western Mass EDC. A lot of you were at some of the recent events over the last couple months. They had a manufacturers roundtable, or a big event in Springfield. They had a recent event on workforce development in the clean energy sector. No stranger. I also see Corey taking some notes, so I bet you, Paul, Corey's going to be talking to you from Westside Finishing. So Western Mass EDC, again, another great partner in here. Really lucky to have both Rick and ZMR here today. I think Rick's taking the microphone today. All right, ZMR, you got a break for a minute? All right. Thanks, Rick. No stranger to any of you, I'm sure. So, Rick, thank you. Thank you.
I do feel like I wore the wrong outfit for the black light in the background, however. But so real quick, I have to say this is probably the most exciting time to be in the city of Holyoke. There is more things happening in the city of Holyoke right now than any place in Western Massachusetts. So while everybody would like to have an Aaron Vega, I can tell you everybody really needs a Josh Garcia, because the city of Holyoke is all on the same page in terms of where they're trying to move the community. And for somebody that's in the economic development business, I can tell you that that is the most important thing, when there's one voice and one set of energy and it's all focused in the right way. And there's a ton of things that are happening in the city of Holyoke, and there's a lot more to come. So there is not a better time to be in the city of Holyoke than right now. And I want to thank the mayor and his team for the leadership that they provided, not only for Holyoke, but really for the region. And the partners that have already spoke from the state, I can tell you they are the best collaborators you can have, because they are literally only a phone call away and always willing to come to the table when there's a prospective customer business that's looking to grow or expand into our region, so that we can, in one place at one time, go over all of the opportunities in terms of programs and incentives that there are locally, but even more importantly, that there are at the state level. So I want to thank our state partners for the great work that you do. So the EDC itself, and I do have an annual report for those that like hard copies, but you can get it on westernmassedc.com. We're a membership-based organization. You mentioned some of our members. Holyoke G&E is a member. U.S. Sabaki is a member. My current chair is Dr. Christina Royal, who was the former, obviously, president of HCC. So there's a really good Holyoke presence, and Josh and Aaron are always at our events. But it's 97 businesses, employers, higher ed. The companies that you know all the names, they're the biggest employers for the most part in Western Massachusetts, and they are committed to growing the regional economy for everybody, not necessarily just for themselves, but for everybody. And so we've got a number of different programs, probably too many to go through here today. But one of the new initiatives that we have is a report that was just authored by Mass Inc. in Cambridge Economics. Econometrics, I always pronounce it wrong. Econometrics, looking to see where we can make an investment, a strategic investment, a transformative investment in the economy here in Western Massachusetts. Taking the centers of excellence that we have, leveraging those, and making a significant investment. And the report calls out a $500 million investment in our regional economy. And at first blush, everyone's like, that is a ton of money. And it is. But when you look around the state, they invested that much in life science, and it did great things for the eastern part of the economy. And from my time in the Patrick administration and in his cabinet, it was growth time. But all of that growth happened in and around Boston, Metro Boston. Not a lot of that came out to some of the other regions in the country. You've seen New York make a very significant, way bigger than $500 million investment strategically in upstate New York. Georgia, we can go down the list. There's a number, all of which are in this report. So it's not a crazy big number. But what we needed to do is to say, okay, we want to see that large investment here in Western Massachusetts, but do we have an investment of that size that makes sense to leverage not only the centers of excellence we have here, but is also part of growing all the different regions, all the different cities and towns in Western Massachusetts. So we look at, and the report calls out basically 3 large buckets, the biggest being in food science. And that's a really huge definition of what food science is. I can say clean crop is particularly called out in here as an investment for that. And there's others. The city of Holyoke is extremely well positioned to be able to take care of any investment and grow with any investment that the state would take, because who knew that UMass has the 2 leading food science experts in the country over at the University of Massachusetts. Their food science program is #1 in the country and #3 internationally. So to be perfectly honest, when we started to do this report, nobody even knew that. So if we can leverage that and leverage this off of the UMass campus, and Clean Crop will be a perfect example of that, because that is a company that started with the IELTS program over at UMass and came over here. They came here because they like the mix, the low carbon, no carbon fuel mix that they had for energy, because it is a big energy user. Holyoke has all of the assets. You've got a tremendous leader, and there's 44 municipal gas and electrics. I'm from Westfield, and we've got one as well. There is no better gas and electric manager than Jimmy Lavelle. He gets it. He will come to the table, and you can leverage your position with your clean energy portfolio to grow. And you're going to see that happen. There's going to be other announcements. We've partnered with the state on, I think, MMAP grants were talked about. We've partnered in the lead for Clean Crop to be one of those grants. It ultimately, at the end of the day, is a growth opportunity, and to be able to grow these companies. Just quickly, the other two are a nod to probably a number of you in this room, is Western Massachusetts still makes things. We are precision manufacturers. We are manufacturers. We are applied materials, smart material manufacturers, and that can grow here. We have to call that out. One of the reasons, and I used to say this back when I was mayor, is if we could put all of the manufacturers that we have in Western Massachusetts under one title, we could go down to Boston and get whatever we needed for that sector and that industry. But our manufacturing sector here is made up of very high quality work and precision work, but they're relatively small, medium-sized businesses, 20, 50. You know, if you've got an employer of around 300, that's pretty big. But so there's no necessarily brand name, but they are in the supply chains of all the companies that you know, making parts that land on the moon. Literally hundreds of thousands of dollars of parts are in every single commercial plane that is in the air today, tomorrow, and for years to come. So Aviation Alley is there a lot with defense mechanism, helped caught the Boston Marathon bomber with some of the technology that was manufactured here in Western Massachusetts. We need to do a better job of leveraging that, telling that story, and that is really why that is kind of the second bucket. And then the third bucket, which has Holyoke written all over it, is clean tech, very big definition. But leveraging the assets that we can do, whether it's water technology, you know, probably long promised, but I really do believe leveraging off of the high-speed green computing center that was intentionally built here in Holyoke decade ago more. But that has come back in quantum manufacturing. It's an important part of quantum computing. So there's a lot that can happen there. Bottom line is it's a great time to be in Holyoke. We do a lot of things with workforce development. We've got an Anchor Collaborative program, which does a lot of things, but the two biggest are our companies agree to hire locally, which means hiring individuals that have historically not been part of the workforce. And Holyoke and Springfield in particular have a large percentage of their population that does not participate in the workplace. So we've got a program to help our employers help those individuals come into the workplace and then grow and get to a living wage job. Rep. Duffy has been a huge proponent of the pilot program that's been created by the state in terms of getting over the cliff effect in a really short answer, or tell you what that is that when an individual is collecting public assistance and then they go into work, and whether it's a minimum wage job or if they have an opportunity for promotion, they actually financially are worse off than if they don't take that job or don't take that promotion. So what this pilot does is to hold those individuals harmless so that they can get through that cliff and get onto the other side and earn a living wage, and then ultimately get off of the public benefit system as well. So it's a long-term strategy. It isn't going to happen overnight, but we think it's about a 3-year ramp up, and the state has said, hey, here's $1 million to try to see if that will prove out. So that, and Rep. Duffy's been a huge proponent on that. And then lastly, we are part of another initiative on a recompete program, which again is really looking at career pathways to bring individuals into entry-level jobs in the beginning, but then quickly ramping them up to that living wage. One of the really big partners on that is HCC. We've had really good success in the healthcare sector with Bay State as the lead. They get trained up over at HCC for the entry-level medical tech jobs, and then Bay State commits to the professional development, again, working with our high-quality higher ed institutions to get them certified and licensed so that they can move up into the nursing and or other medical degrees. So again, they can be earning a real, truly living wage here in Western Massachusetts. So there is a ton going on, but I just want everybody in this room to know that, in almost every single way, Holyoke is leading the way.
Scott, you're recording this? So we're just about wrapped up. We got one more speaker. Just a couple of quick comments before we head up to lunch. I think I'm gonna hold off on the questions. I think the conversation upstairs will be better. Rick mentioned the Anchor Collaborative. I wanted to mention that, but he did. The other thing for many of you in this room, over the next couple of months, you may receive an email from myself or from Mayor Garcia. We are also embarking on a new comprehensive master plan for the city. And so that has 7 different chapters in it, if you will, a lot of it dealing with infrastructure, municipal vulnerability, climate change, economic development, housing, workforce development, all that good stuff. So there'll be stakeholder meetings. We want to hear from industry. We want to hear from those of you that are invested in the city. So you'll probably get emails from myself or the Mayor Garcia over the next couple of months. It's a 1.5 year long process. Our current master plan is about 23, 24 years old. So in a time when cannabis wasn't legal, energy use wasn't really talked about, municipal vulnerability was not a thing. So we're definitely looking forward to that process. As the mayor said, you get what you plan for. But before I bring up our last speaker, I just want to do a quick round robin of who's in the room. So you've already met the speakers here. So we've got most of the front row, but in the front row, many of you have worked with him in some capacity, but if not, Mike Stone.
Start off.
Yeah.
I'm Mike Stone from Copap Design. We're an engineering design studio right down here in Boyd Street. We work with companies like CleanCrop to help design early versions of their technology, help them get it to the next stage. So super psyched to be here.
Thank you. We're going to make sure that Clean Crop is at the next one and be part of our presentations because we've talked a lot about them. I know that they're going to be at the Girls Inc. event tonight. They've been really great partners, but we will get them to the next event. So, and we're going to go back here.
Alexander, I'm from Mass Hire Holyoke, right at Ray Street. I play a big part working with Clean Crop and Sublime in the future to help them find employees and get those jobs filled.
Excellent. And we're going to, like I said, our fall event is probably going to be focused on workforce development, and HCC will probably be hosting it down at the Culinary Center. So that will be all focused on workforce development. And then the middle one will probably be focused on the economic development bill at the state. Hopefully it'll be passed by then, and we'll be able to talk about that and have some presentations. So keep on going. All right, excellent. And
Michael Curtin, from Holyoke Gas and Electric. I'm technical support engineer that services the commercial and industrial customers within the city.
excellent. Good.
Yeah, I'm Christian Stanley from Valley Malt and Roundup Flour. We own a malt house and flour mill in Holyoke over near 116 Rich in the South Avenue.
Yes.
We've been mentioned several times.
Yes. Absolutely. No. Great to have you here. Thank you. Thank you as always. And going back, Eric. Yep.
Eric Shore from ES Sports. We're screen print and embroidery manufacturing house in Holyoke, and also ES Development. We've done a number of downtown properties that house a bunch of offices, and pretty happy to hear and see everything that's going on.
Absolutely. And Front Street is up and running and occupied by DCF or DC.
DCF is in one of the buildings, and DTA and some expansion going on the other side at 100.
Excellent. Great to see. So we met Frank, we met Paul. So I think I'm going here to Ederon. Yep. Or,
Good afternoon, Mike Ernst. I'm with Ederon LLC. We make jigsaw puzzles for fun and enjoyment. I'm your local retailer.
you sure can, exactly. And we sure wish they said made in Holyoke, but again, they can't always say that. But I see them all over the place, and if any of you got the 150th puzzle and things over the years, they've been a great partner. So yes, and
Hi everyone, Jeremy Levine. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing for
Excellent. And
member of the council at Casella downtown.
absolutely. He's going to be one of our presenters at one of the next ones coming up on the economic development. He's also been talking to a lot of the new potential developments, including Sublime and 111 Mosier and some of the stuff back there, perhaps the opportunity to bring short rail back through that area of Holyoke. So great to have you here. Coming up, Ed.
Hey, Ed McNamara from Riverside Agriculture, Middletown Agriculture on 1 Cabot Street. We're a cannabis company. We've got cultivation going. We just started manufacturing, and we'll have retail really soon.
Excellent. Interesting industry to be in these days. So for sure, going over.
Good afternoon, Mike Jeanette, Universal Plastics, so we're a custom thermoformer.
Been there for a long time.
Been there for a long time.
Yeah.
Everybody's welcome to visit if you want.
Absolutely.
Always open. Brought Elmira Rentas with me today.
Okay.
I am the safety officer and the document controller at Universal Plastics.
All right, safety officer. All right, maybe there's something there to work with Paul. Okay. Safety. It's all right. Look at your lunch here in just a minute. All right, stepping up.
I'm Tony Regali from Conklin Office Furniture. We're right now on Appleton Street. We're the leading in manufacturing and office furniture.
Yeah, they had an amazing float, and if you haven't been to their office, it's kind of like going to IKEA. You just kind of it's all like set up. You get to check it all out. It's really, really a fun space to just go and check out the furniture. And I think almost everyone in City Hall has office furniture from you guys. So going down, Carl.
Janitor for the Development.
Exactly. Janitor, chair, one of the two, right in between. And coming up to the next row. Go ahead, Juan. No.
My name is Supergo, Legislative Aide for Representative Duffy and the Holyoke Ward 6 City Councilor. Happy to meet you all.
Okay.
Look forward to those conversations.
Yep. And
I'm Mark Messer, District Director for Senator Mielis. He had a little bit of a mix-up, so he went to the Bay State event, and I'm here on his behalf. And just want to say, just know that our office is always, open to talking. If there's something from a policy standpoint that's concerning, reach out to us, rather than, after it goes into effect, so we can get out, ahead of it. And then we're always happy if you're going after a grant, something like that, provide a letter of support for you. And then just, one thing I remember, Clean Crop, we were able to nominate them for this manufacturing event out at Fort Park in Worcester and get them some recognition. So anyway, we can highlight all the good stuff going on here. We're happy to do so.
yeah, thank you. And anytime we have a visit, from the mayor or the senator or the rep to a business, we can always do that press release, right? It's always good to get press on the great businesses going on in Holyoke. And someone who works every day to get good press for the city of Holyoke, our chamber president, our fearless leader, Jordan Hart, come on up to close us out. Break up all these guys talking.
Aaron, I might have to start charging you commission. You wear our golf jacket everywhere. Free advertising is great. Hi, good afternoon. I'm Jordan Hart. I'm the executive director of the Greater Holyoke Chamber. I've been with the chamber for 10 years. Many of you may remember me as Kathy Anderson's executive assistant. I've been the director for a little over 3 years now. And I think one theme that you have heard throughout all of our speakers is economic development and quality of life. And for me, once I took leadership, I really felt that the chamber needed to be the bridge between the community and the businesses. All of our businesses here in the city cannot thrive if you don't have the support of your own community. So one thing that I really love to do with my members is hold events at your location so people in the community can get to see what it is that you're doing. They get to meet you. They get to really see what you're doing in action. Through Mass Development, we do have such a hyper focus right now on High Street to help revive our downtown. We've been able to form a High Street Business Association, which is going to be putting out trash cans and planters and helping to keep our streets clean. So as you have vendors, your staff, yourselves coming into the city, over the next year, you're going to see some really enhanced changes. We have a lot of storefront improvements that we've been able to receive. The Chamber's been grateful to work really closely in alignment with both the Office of Planning and Economic Development and the city. And then thank you to Mass Development because we've been able to be the fiscal agent to kind of leverage all of these projects that you're seeing. Additionally, we work really closely with Dean Tech, Mass Hire, so that we can help provide co-op opportunities so that we can keep our Holyoke students engaged and keep them working in our communities with all of you. So we do have a great event at Gary Rome Hyundai's new car wash on April 11th, and it's free to attend. I invite all of you to come. You get to meet your elected officials, and we're going to be hearing from a panel, our mayor included, on how we're working to build the workforce gap between our manufacturers and our students here in the city. I also think that it's really important for all of us to know that manufacturing has always been an anchor for our local economy, and I think that we're going through this renaissance period, and it's really important for all of us to come together and know that small businesses are great, but it's our manufacturers that are really anchoring our local economy. So thank you to all of you. Valley Malt, you've been mentioned by almost every speaker. We will be reaching out to you for our farmers market. We would love to have you selling your bread again and your yeast again this year. So again, I'll be happy to talk to you more upstairs. It's been great to meet all of you formally and informally, and I hope you enjoy your lunch, and I'll check you out upstairs.
Thank you, everybody. So I won't keep you any longer to eat. Let's get some food upstairs. So Kim, if you want to, I think she may have already ran upstairs, so we're just going up the stairs. Please also enjoy this amazing new facility. The presenters, people who spoke, can we do a quick picture? We'll meet you upstairs in 2 minutes. And then the last thing I'll say, I think she actually left the room, but many of you have been in email contact with Marie over the last couple of months. She helped organize this. She's been our development specialist for a little over a year, was our head clerk as well. She's been working with John and I. She's leaving us, so onto another opportunity. But so we wish her well. We thank her for doing all the work. So you'll be hearing from myself, John, or Kim over the next couple of months. We put the next one together for some presenters and the themes. But please head upstairs. HEDIC provide the funds to support us for food and the marketing of this. So again, HEDIC is trying to get more out there, forward-facing with all of our manufacturers. So we'll meet you upstairs for lunch in 1 minute. The presenters just come up. We'll do a quick picture, and we'll see you up there for lunch in 1 minute. Thank you, everybody.